Hi guys, it's me, Chrissy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a bull moose. It's a really cool animal. I really like doing animals, in case some of you have noticed. This was a photograph taken by a friend of mine, Jennifer Hadley, photographer. She's an excellent photographer, and it's actually a bull moose in Alaska. So I'm just recreating one of her references of her pictures today, and I hope you enjoy this. And if you want to follow some of her photographs, she takes some beautiful photographs of wildlife. I'll leave a link to her Instagram account in the description box below. So I'm just blocking in. I've started on a dark grey background and it's 16 by 11 size canvas. And I'm just putting in some really dark contrasting colours because I want to make this like a misty background, if you will, because the fog's just coming down onto the lake as like I said, Jennifer's captured it, and I wanted to recreate that atmospherical perspective. So I'm just blocking in as loosely as I can, like you can see here, using some greens, some yellow ochres, some phthalo greens and so forth, but I'm soft blending everything out so it's blurred out, so you can't really see what everything is. I'm just using the contrast to help me get in the actual shapes I'm looking for without actually creating a certain shape. Now here on the shoreline I do give a bit more detail, but not too much, because you probably might see that just peeping through the mist or the fog. So I've just changed tones there a little bit by adding a bit of orange. So now I'm going on to the lake, and it was a really calm day, she explains on her page on Instagram. I think it was early morning. So I'm just doing the lake a really smooth, icy blue looking. It's like an icy blue grey. So it's really calm. And it's a nice contrasting colour. So I've got the nice cool colour of the lake, and then you got the nice warm colours actually going on in the distance. So I'm just putting some dark little line strokes that are in the actual lake itself. Just using a nice flat brush. And to create these, you've got to spend a little bit of time doing this and to make it a bit more realistic. So I'm now coming in with that light blue again, going next to me little dark shadows that I've put in. So these will look like ripples that's going on in the lake. And at the back, I'm keeping it quite smooth because that's distance. But I just wanted this little visual texture in the foreground. So I've put that aside now, let all that dry, I've washed my brushes out. I'm just putting a nice dark green again that I used in the background to put in on the rocky foliage here in the foreground. And I'm actually using the same colour to block in the dark values of the moose. Because I want some nice contrast going on in this painting. Like I said, I'm going to add some fog or mist or whichever you want to call it. And it'll really bring the moose forward and make him stand out like he's really there. You know, you can reach out and touch him. That's the look I'm going for today. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you do, leave us a thumbs up. I appreciate that, as always. And you can leave me a comment. If you want to ask me anything, ask me and I will get back to you. You always answer me questions. Also, if you like painting or drawing or any arts and craft, I have a Facebook group. You can join that also. The link for that will be in the description box. So there you see, I've just blocked him all in, then I lightly went over with the airbrush just to put that little bit of mist in. So I'm just using an off-white. So I've toned it down slightly so it's not a pure brilliant white. Just toned it down with a bit of dark grey. I'm going back in, putting me little pebbles in on the pebbledy beach with a lighter value. Just use a small little filbert brush there. Like I said, this takes a little bit of time, but it pays off in the long run because you've got some really nice realistic artwork to look at the end of it. I do go back in with some darks because you do go over them, so remember that. Remember to go back in with your dark layers. Keep that nice vivid contrast going. I'm just using a nice long liner brush here just to get some thinner lines in between them little pebbles so they're not all uniformed. Obviously they're on the beach, so they're all laying a different direction. I didn't want them all the same. Different if you're doing like a stone wall, that's different, but these are actual pebbles. So I'm back in with my detail brush again. So I'm putting some light contrast there next to the dark, where the light will be actually hitting in. I'm just filling these. I've got a bit of a back leg poking out there behind the front leg on the right. So I've put that in. So he's stood quite square. You can't really see much of his back legs. And he's glaring over at something interesting, obviously. Something's took his attention. I'm putting a few highlights here on the rocks. And back again with more contrast again, just to break the lines up. Still using that nice soft flat filbert brush there that you can see. Now these are going to be my mid-tone highlights. I'm getting some texture going, but I'm not over texturing him yet till I get to the final part of the actual mousse that you'll see further on in the video. I'm just roughing in some texture with this off colour here, this off creamy colour. Keeping aware of my contrast, I'm making sure I don't lose any lines and keep going back in like you see. And darkening any really dark areas by just darkening my value a little bit more than I had it. When you're doing realistic work, like now, it looks a bit strange because you're working it up in layers. So it is, I don't call it off-putting, but it is time consuming. I won't deny that. And if you respect that, then your work will turn out just great. Just be patient, take your time, sit back, have a look, make sure you've got everything right, check your lines, your contrast. Your contrast is the most important. So just be aware and be patient and everything will come together, yeah? So I'm using this brownish sienna now. It's got a tiny bit of orange in just to get his antlers going because I did mist over it with the airbrush slightly there. And you can see the contrast already against that misty background, how it really stands out. I'm not soft blending too much here. There's a bit of visual texture going on in his antlers. But I come back to that. Just let that dry for the moment. I'll concentrate on his actual body and his face. I'm not using black. I'm using a really dark blue. So it's like an indigo blue with maybe some ultramarine blue and maybe a little bit of magenta in there. It reads as black, but it's a really dark contrasting colour. But if you haven't got them colours, obviously you can use black. But it's hard when using black to get the real dark contrast, you know what I mean? Because once it's black, isn't it? You can't get any deeper. We can also use an ultramarine blue and some burnt umber for a nice dark value. A little bit of a tip there for you instead of using black. So the lighter area you saw me put in earlier, you can see I've gone over most of them, just left an odd line. Now that were a purpose, that was everything has a reason why I do stuff, obviously. You don't want that too visual, you don't want it to look like you've outlined anything. So you want it all smooth, a nice smooth transition. So there were a bit of a branch sticking in, as you can see on the photograph if you go and follow Jennifer on Instagram. But I've took my own artistic license here and I just added it where I thought it should be, just to balance the painting out compositionally. Because not everything in the photograph you need to add. So be aware of that. Take what you want out your reference and leave the rest behind, so to speak. Or collect a few references together. If there's something you like in another subject, you can add that in also. So now I've glazed the whole mousse and I've gone in with a light purple here just to give another shimmy on that lake. And then I've done the same on the pebbles just to bring them together. So now I'm going in with a lighter tone. It's an off yellow ochre with a tiny bit of Naples yellow in and the orange. I'm just bringing them antlers together as well. He's a really nice big moose, isn't he? Bull moose. And Alaska's a really beautiful place. And when you get out into the wilderness, it's absolutely some stunning views, isn't there? Beautiful country. I've got a little angle brush here because I thought they were pretty nifty just to get into these little nooks and crannies. Also, it gives you a nice little bit of a textural feel going, with your brush. It's a nice angle shader. You can shade out and get some nice texture. So that's what they call a little sword brush, or a little dagger brush, but you can use a normal brush. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I enjoyed painting this for you. And if you want to check Jennifer out, please do. I'll leave a link for Instagram below. On screen now are 2 videos you may like to watch. And if you're not already subscribed, click on my face and be sure to click the icon bell to get a notification. As always, thanks for watching and create something wonderful. See you all soon on my next video.